Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for attending this webinar that has been so graciously hosted by Perry Johnson Registrars. I would like to introduce myself. I am Debra Garrison, creator and program director of the Local Farmer Program developed by Primus Labs and powered by Azul. I hold a BS in agriculture business with an emphasis on marketing and policy. Prior to my program management, I conducted field and facility third-party audits on the East Coast for 1 year, and since then, I have served as Global Business Development Director for Primus Group. I spent most of my life on my family's farm in Nipomo, California, which is just a very short hop and a jump from where we are here in Santa Maria. And my family from 1945 to 1996 raised turkeys, lemons, avocados, and boarded horses. So we were a very diversified farm. I developed farmers markets here in the area, Santa Maria and Lompoc, after participating at state-level policy development for California certified farmers markets. Hold on, see if I can get this to advance. There we go. All right, and so just a few announcements before we get started. All attendees have been muted to preserve audio quality. A recording of this presentation will be available to review on Perry Johnson's website following this broadcast. The slides will also be available for download from perryjohnson.com, and any questions should be typed into the question bar there, the tab there on the Go to Webinar interface. And I will be answering your questions at the end of the webinar. The presentation will be available for all of you after this conclusion of the webinar. So today I would like to present to you the PrimusGFS Audit Scheme. It is a privately owned global food safety initiative benchmarked and fully recognized audit scheme. I want to tell you a little bit about that word and kind of explain to you what privately owned means. Our main Primus Group office is located in Santa Maria, California, and is set in a fertile valley surrounded by family farms. Primus Group was started by actual ag industry folks in the 1980s to conduct lab testing for pesticide residue after expanding into microbiological test resulting as well. And that came out of a group of farms from not only Santa Maria, but also around the Salinas Valley area. At a time when Japan was actually asking for pesticide residue testing prior to allowing any of the specialty crops to be sent to their country. And there was not a lab available in this area. And so they got together and created a company called Primus Labs. And that is how this company started. The company is incorporated and has office locations in the United States, Mexico, Costa Rica, and Chile. Azul, which is the owner of the PrimusGFS, is a sister company to Primus Group. The combined companies employ around 250 employees worldwide. So we always like to say we're a small company with a very big face. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Primus audit scheme. So again, it's owned and managed by Azul, which is a leading provider of global data management solutions for all levels of the supply chain. It covers the produce supply chain from pre to post farm gate production and provides an integrated supply chain approach with a focus on food safety. So what do we mean by integrated supply chain approach? It's kind of a very large word or sentence to kind of envision. So what we mean by that is it covers Azul systems in our software, cover everything from scheduling an audit that covers you from field to facility, and allows communication between you and the CB, like Perry Johnson, to view audit and corrective action reporting in real time. And also, it allows you to share information up and down your supply chain after you've had your audit. It covers both good agriculture practices and good manufacturing practice scopes, as well as the food safety management system that you have in place. So thorough guidance resources specific to different produce operation types, depending on what your type of operation is, whether it does fall under a GAP or it falls under a GMP. We have plenty of resources on our website, and I'm sure that Perry Johnson will share those with you as well. And what those guidance resources are would include questions and expectations of the audit, interpretation guidelines, checklists, and of course, FSMA resources. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into the presentation. Another wonderful thing about the PrimusGFS audit scheme is that we are continually updating its scheme contents so that we make sure that we meet government and industry standards. So the PrimusGFS audit version 2.1, and that's -2C that we currently are using, has module designs, and those modules include module 1, which is the food safety management system. That's applicable to both good agricultural practices and good manufacturing practice audits. So no matter if you are just having your field audited or if you are having your processing plant audited, it would be applicable to both. The module 2 GAP includes audit checklists for your farm or your ranch. Just a little side note, we called it ranch because back in the years ago when we first started doing auditing, we were involved with many of our Mexico employees and staff experts. And of course, in Mexico, farms are called ranchos. So that's where the ranch came from when you see our audit schemes. But you'll see, and we'll show you this next piece, which is we have changed it to farms after all these years. But it's always a great story. So the module 2 GAP covers the farm, the harvest crew, and the greenhouse operations. Module 2, the good manufacturing practice section, covers storage and distribution, cooling and cold storage, packing house, and processing. And the module 3 covers, of course, hazard analysis, critical control points, and is only applicable to the good manufacturing practice module 2. The scope of these modules cover farming of plants, farming of grains and pulses, pre-process handling of plant products, also nuts and grains. And just for an example of a few of those would be deshelling of nuts, drying of grains, grading of fruit and vegetables, storage, cleaning, washing, rinsing, fluming, sorting, grading, trimming, etc. Also, we cover within the scope the processing of perishable plant products. And some examples of that could be, again, washing, slicing, dicing, cutting, shredding, peeling, grating, pasteurizing, cooking, chilling, etc. And then also, we cover in our scope the processing of perishable animal and plant products. So an example of that may be the production of plant products that have ingredients from animal origin. So ready-to-eat salads with grilled chicken or would be an example of that. And then also the processing of ambient stable products. So that could be the production of food products from agriculture sources that are stored and sold at ambient temperatures. That is limited to agriculture products, horticulture, grains, and pulses only. Examples would be cooking, drying, roasting, salting, pressing, milling, freeze drying, eradicating, and etc. Okay, so there's more examples of that as well. And then, of course, Perry Johnson could help you with maybe some of those more technical questions. All right, so coming up soon, and we hope we should be releasing it in mid to late July, will be our PrimusGFS version 3.0. This module looks a little different, as you can see. We now have 7 modules that will cover the food safety management system. Module 2, that previous to the last, what we called ranch audit, will now be the farm audit. And then module 3, indoor agriculture, previously the greenhouse audit. And module 4 will be a harvest crew. Number 5 will be the module 5 will be the facility. And then module 6, the same, the HACCP, mandatory for all facilities. And then new in this coming version will be the module 7, which is the preventative controls for, and that's voluntary for facilities that are not exempt from the FSMA rule requirements found in the current good manufacturing practice and hazard analysis and risk-based preventative controls for human food rule. I do want to let you know that all of our modules in the version 3.0 are aligned with the FSMA rule requirements. And then I also wanted to explain to you that the reason why we have broken up our module 4 harvest crew is because many times we have harvest crews that are subcontracted, and they may not necessarily be owned or managed by the owner of the farm. So this gives the opportunity for the harvest crew subcontractors to be audited under the scope of your operation. Okay. So here we wanted to bring to your attention that how present we are in the world. So PrimusGFS is in 20 different countries. And during last year, it resulted in 17,000 issued certificates. And I think this is great because we are helping GFSI with their vision of Global Food Safety Initiative, with their vision of safe food for consumers everywhere. We have a staff that speaks Spanish and English in all of our offices. We have an office here in Santa Maria, which is where I am speaking to you from. And this is our, what we like to call our mothership, or our headquarters. We also have offices in Chile and Mexico. And what we don't have listed here is we do also have a sub-office in Costa Rica. So I want to review a few of the benefits that we have with the PrimusGFS. So the GFS recognition of the scheme helps move the produce industry one step closer to the desired goal of that harmonization for produce. It provides the ability to have all your information generated throughout the certification process in an electronic format that is functional and transferred directly to you. So it includes a preliminary report, corrective action report, and a final report. And preliminary reports are unique to PrimusGFS. The reason that we think this is important is because when your CB performs your audit and you get that preliminary report within the time frame that they have to submit that report, it gives your buyer, if you have given permission to send it to a certain buyer, a quick view of your results immediately after your audit. So if you are tight on a expiration, let's say, for instance, as an example, you still will want to be working on your corrective actions and get your corrective actions approved by your auditor, and during that time, the buyer will have the opportunity to take a look at that preliminary report and approve you for becoming their supplier. So just kind of helps you in that manner. Also, electric formats provide reports with translation tools. That is very important, especially for our folks that are down in Mexico or Chile. And also GPS points from the auditors for each operation is linked to Google Earth. So that's always a good addition as well. We have skilled teams of programmers and customer support representatives available to assist you, and Perry Johnson to transfer your data at your request throughout the supply chain. So greater exposure is one of the great benefits of the PrimusGFS for your organization and your food safety program to Azul buyer destination. So we give you, and I'll show you this on the next slide, we have a lot of buyers that work with us that are utilizing data analysis to make sure that their suppliers are implementing the corrective actions necessary to make auditing a more effective food safety tool. So in working with them, I just wanted to show you some of our data transfer statistics. You can see here that we have now, keeping in mind when we say transferred audits, that means that your operation may be sending an audit, a test result, some documents to a buyer, or you may be sending it to 20 buyers. So the total audits transferred last year, you can see far to the right here, was almost 1.5 million transfers. So we have a great presence here with our buyer destinations, and you can see some of the buyers that we work with on this slide as well. And I think since we've made this slide, we've added 4 more major buyers onto our list. So again, we like to make sure that you have the exposure to those buyers. And it also is just, again, another benefit of using the PrimusGFS audit scheme. And also, I feel that very importantly, PrimusGFS has a very innovative audit integrity program that utilizes this extensive data analytics that we have experts here in our office that perform for us. And also, we have over 50 programmers in our Mexico office that also help with some of this extensive data analytics. So what does that do? Why is that important? Well, it helps us ensure that, number one, our checklists are of quality. So what does that mean? Well, if you have buyers that are depending on good audits and good audit reports, it starts with, of course, the audit checklist. So what we do to make sure that we have that quality is our audit report reviews show us if questions are reported and are highly inconsistent. Then, you know, sometimes it's not an auditor, but it could be the way that that question is written, right? Or those guidelines are written. So if we see that there is an out-of-spec question on our audit checklist, then we make sure we review that. And of course, we are always asking for our stakeholders' opinions as well and help with those reviews. The other important insurance is the performance of the auditors that meet the certifying body standards. So shadow audits to ensure professionalism, attributes, and competencies are very important. And of course, we all know that your having 4 sets of eyes sometimes on an audit is not always comfortable. However, what we want to do, and if you ever have the opportunity to be asked to allow a shadow auditor to come on to your operation, please help us by accepting that invitation so that we can help the PrimusGFS be the best audit out there for the produce industry in the eyes of our buyers. And then we also have audit report reviews. So again, audit report reviews are very important for recognizing where retraining may be needed for different auditors. So continued scheme integrity improves your selling power for those who are making the buying decisions. So that's a little bit about the PrimusGFS audit scheme. And for technical information and, of course, scheduling a PrimusGFS audit, please contact Perry Johnson, Registrars, Food Safety, Inc. And their email is, as you see on the screen there, or you can call them to speak to one of their representatives. And also, for more information about the PrimusGFS audit, you can visit the PrimusGFS website. And then I think also it's very important for you to know more about the Global Food Safety Initiative. So if you would like to visit their website, you can go to mygfsi.com for more information. So I want to thank you so very much for attending this webinar. I tried to keep it short and sweet for you. And of course, we would be very excited if you chose to use our PrimusGFS audit for your auditing, food safety auditing needs on your agriculture operation. So with that, I will see if I don't see any questions here so far. So I think we'll go ahead then and close out this this webinar. So again, thank you very much, and I hope that we will, or Perry Johnson will be speaking with you soon. Right? Thanks. Bye.